In this video, we're going to be looking at the top 5 things for you to do to the Redcat RDS before you ever drive it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Troy. This is Roadside RC. You'll tend to find me bashing or crawling or drifting or racing, plus doing product review videos and how-tos. And on the workbench today is the Redcat RDS. I've been doing a lot of work with this brand new to the market rear-wheel drive drift car, and I have 5, maybe plus 1 bonus tips for you to look at and things to do before you ever even drive this vehicle. Let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to talk about in this video is actually on the gyro itself. With the car powered on, you want this to be a red blinking LED here on the gyro. That means it is in the AVCS mode, and what you will see is that when you turn the wheels, they will return slow. You see how that comes back slow? Now, if I put that into the non-AVCS mode, which is green, it'll actually snap back very fast. There'll be no delay like that whatsoever. And the reason why you want to do that is because this servo and gyro combo doesn't have a lot of dampening built into it. And so if you run it in the normal mode, you will get a lot of gyro wobble. You change between the mode rather simply right here by just double pressing while it's on. Double press that endpoints button. You will see it goes yellow for a minute and then back to green. So now it is in the normal mode. And then double press right back, yellow, and then it thinks about it for a second, comes back into the red flash. That is the AVCS mode. This mode allows you to run a higher gyro gain to make the car a little bit easier to drive, all without getting that crazy wobble that really throws off your drift and honestly just doesn't look very cool. Now that we've confirmed that the gyro is actually in the AVCS mode, the second thing that we need to do is set the steering endpoints, and I'm going to do it differently than how the factory did it. From the factory, the steering actually is rather limited, which is something you will definitely want to rectify because it is very, very important in a rear-wheel drive drift car to get as much steering angle as possible. And I noticed something as I was first messing with this car, which is that the steering dual rate was all the way down on about 25%. And part of the reason for that, I believe, is so that even when the gyro is inactive, you don't overextend the servo and run a risk of frying the servo, basically. So that's Redcat trying to help you not fry your servo. But it has negative implications when it comes to the gyro performance and how the car drives. So if you notice, when I have it set at only 25%, it's giving a different throttle range to the gyro through the receiver. It doesn't fully do AVCS. You see that? It like comes back fast for a lot of it and then slowly at the very, very middle. That's because it's only seeing 25% of the steering range, and it's a little bit of a different mixed signal when it comes to the gyro. So what I do is I actually crank this dual rate knob all the way up to 100, which is going to be an issue when it comes to potentially overextending the servo, and you do run a slightly higher risk of actually frying the servo. But what I'm going to do is turn it off, reset the endpoints with the gyro. You will see that not only will I get more steering angle, but the AVCS will actually work just a little bit differently. So now what happens is that when I turn the wheels, it actually will come back slower for more of the travel. So what I'm doing is I'm giving a more full signal from the controller to the gyro, and my personal preference is that the car seems to respond and drive better with that change. The third item here actually kind of caught me out, and so this is a surprise and I want to make sure that you are aware of it. From the factory, with the factory tires or with any kind of aftermarket tire, there's something going on where you can actually bind up the front and rear axles if you tighten up the wheel nuts too tight. So let me show you. This is in a situation where I have loosened them just a little bit, and the wheels spin nice and free and nice and easy. But if I tighten them up just a little bit more, they don't spin nearly as freely. They stop so much quicker than they did before. So something is up there where when you really tighten that nut down, you're actually binding up the bearings in the front axle, and I believe it does the exact same thing in the rear. So that means you can't over tighten these lug nuts. And so what I've found is that I tighten them about how much I think they should be, and then I back it off and make sure that they actually spin freely. Like if I do this test, so I've tightened this one's a little bit looser. And so spin, spin. This one's clearly stopped. And that one has a lot more to go. This makes a huge difference for how the car drives, because with the front, any kind of drag that you put on the front of a drift car really slows the car down, makes it drive a little bit funny. If you have the same thing on the rear, it actually acts like you have a drag brake on. In a slick surface, slick tire, it means as soon as you let off the gas, the rear end's sliding around. There's no coast at all. So really, really check this out, because this can really impact how the car drives. And I've already seen some feedback online that makes me think some people are out there and getting a little frustrated because this is happening. Really check this one out. The next one's a little silly, but honestly, you gotta add some stickers. Redcat provides you with a bunch of different sticker options straight out of the box, whether you get the gray body or the orange one, and it really, really makes a difference in how this car looks. So even though it's a little bit silly, don't skip the time. Don't skip the time before you get to driving it, and stick some stickers on there. Number 5 on the list is I highly suggest you get another set of tires and wheels. I have found multiple that actually work and work really, really nice. I have these MST adjustables or these DS racing adjustables. Both work really, really well. There's nothing wrong with the factory wheels, so I actually suggest you can keep those, and I actually am using the factory tires on my painted garage floor, where I'm not as picky about what tire I'm using. But you do not want to use the same tire for both carpet and for hard surfaces. So get yourself a set of wheels, get yourself a set of like Yokomo DRC carpet tires, or if you have a track, whatever the preferred tire is for that track, and keep those separate. Mount them up and leave them on a separate set of wheels. That way you always have them. Don't worry, if you're into this drift thing for a while, you're gonna end up with a bunch of sets of wheels and tires. I mean, honestly, this is not staged at all, but this is what's just currently sitting on my workbench, just on a random day. And now at the end, I told you I was going to give you a bonus item, changing the alignment on the car. I think there's a lot of performance that can be gained by actually doing that. It takes a little bit of work, and honestly, it's too much to put into this video right here. So I'm going to leave you with a link over here to the video that I created, all about my testing and figuring out what alignment I wanted on this car. That should pop up in a little card right over here to your right. I suggest highly that you drive the car first, exactly as it comes out of the box. Get a feel for how it drives, and then at some point, try my alignment and see if you like it better or worse. You can always go back. I give you all the measurements so that you can always return back to the factory. And Redcat actually has the full setup sheet loaded in online, so you can always go back to the factory specs if you like it better. So it's kind of a no risk, easy reward kind of scenario. So thank you for watching. Hit that alignment video. We will see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.